Hey everyone, so today is going to be a part 1 video of the tracker chassis swap. I just started at it and I got the hood off and I realized, hey, good time to start recording this now. So I figure it might be quite a few parts to this because I know it's not going to be an easy job. I've done it before and it takes a bit of time to do it properly, so got to take my time and do it right. Wants it to be safe when we're out in the middle of nowhere and that, and summer is coming on pretty quick, so now is a good time to get it done while I got a bit of free time. So here goes nothing. Okay, so I just got the hood off there, and now the first thing is first. I'm going to disconnect the battery, and as you can see, I got quite a bit of mess of wiring on the go here with winch and light bars and relays and all that kind of stuff. So I will be fixing that up. I bought another fuse box just for all that. I'll show you what I got here. It's actually very cheap to buy these online, and you can add up to 6 more circuits with this. So it's still in the wrapping, but you can get a good idea of what it is. And you just run a power and negative to it, a fairly heavy gauge, and then you use all the fuses for all your accessories. So I mean, that's another good upgrade for sure. I guess next step here, I'm going to start with the front of the vehicle as just as well and work my way back. I'm going to get all this harness. I got the zip ties on the strut bar there, get that all let go. Let the master cylinder go, let that hang. Probably get the front bumper taken off because I'm going to be putting that front bumper on the other chassis since everything's mounted to it. And then I'll take cab mounts off, steering shaft, and start working my way back. Handbrake cable's got to be let go. Shifter cable got to be let go, and I'm trying to think what else. At the back, the filler pipe got to be let go. It's really not a whole lot of stuff. I mean, the wiring is the biggest issue. I'm gonna have to let the wiring go off the engine and let it just hang in with the body, right? So I don't know if you can see what my goal is here. I got the chains hanging from the ceiling. I'm gonna use some come-alongs, 4 come-alongs, and ratchet her up, the body up into the air, roll the chassis forward, and then right there you'll see a hook and a cable. There's actually a winch up in the ceiling there, and I'll be using that to haul the motor and transmission out, and I'll just put it on a dolly cart to roll it to the side, roll the chassis out, and bring the other chassis in, which is right outside patiently waiting to be used. So back at it again. So this next step, I'm going to take the headlights out because my 2 front cab mounts are directly behind the headlights. And not only that, it'll help me get at some of the wiring and that easier too. Yeah, I think the next step now is I'll probably just disconnect my winch, the power and negative there, and just leave it with the body, and then the winch can stay with the bumper. And I'll probably do the same with my pod lights right here. I might just cut the wires on each end because I only just wired them up and taped them up temporarily, and I just never got around to doing it properly. So I'll cut it where the wires are matching. That way I know exactly where they go, and then I'll just clean it up, solder them, and heat shrink and everything when I puts it back together. So it looks like there's 4 bolts in the bumper altogether to hold it up inside the chassis channels, and the inside ones are inside. So I think it's easier to just try to get them with a wrench. Even get them started, then I'll see if I can wedge the impact gun up in there. And I tell you, this little impact gun saves a lot of time too. I mean, if you had to do this all with a ratchet, it'd take you forever. And there she just dropped. That's a good sign she's not stuck in there anyway. Yeah, I'll try to get that one out with the impact gun. And I think the factory air pump is still hooked up there, which I don't use anymore because I got a homemade jobby done up. So I got to disconnect that air pump, and then she should be good to let go. I just got to cut the hoses on the air pump because it's not used anyway. These cutters are from 1826, I believe, but they still work somewhat. And I still got the bottom light bar hooked up. This one here. Actually, no, I don't. She's disconnected, I think. I better double check to make sure. Oh, she is still connected. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so while I had the camera shut off there for a few minutes, I let the top radiator hose go, got that disconnected. I let the fan shroud go. The fan and shroud is going to be staying with the engine. I'm hoping to leave the radiator in this with the body. So when I lift it up, the fan shroud and fan stay on the engine, and the radiator and all that will come up with the body. It just seems like it'll be a lot easier. I'm hoping anyway. And another tip here, if you're going at a project like this, whatever tools you got, just take them and throw them all on the floor, because by the time you're done, that's what it's going to look like anyway. So that's where I'm getting to now with this racket here. So radiator's ready to drain now, so I'm going to reach underneath and open her up, and hopefully she drains out through the drain. And there she goes. And to speed that up a little bit, take the radiator hose off, the radiator cap off of there. Makes it go a little faster, right? So if you got an airbag in your steering wheel or any kind of clock spring or anything, want to make sure you run your seatbelt and strap it through the steering wheel. So when you let your steering shaft go, you don't mess all that stuff up, and it ends up costing you a bunch of time and money to get it repaired. Steering shaft is off, and the radiator is still draining. So I guess I'll get at these cab mounts now. Of course, where I got a body lift on when I did this one, I didn't do the metal thing like you've probably seen in my previous video where I did the homemade body lift. I did it the same at the back, but these two front ones I ran out of pipe, so I used hockey pucks, and yeah, it's not the answer. So I got a carriage bolt going down through it, so of course if that spins on the top I'm going to have issues. Hopefully I can grab a pair of vice grips onto it. But I got to see what size bolt nut that is on the bottom of it now, and hopefully get it with the impact gun with no issues. And it looks like it's about a 9/16 or 5/8. Okay, so I got the cab mounts pretty well all let go. I had some trouble with four of them because I had to change the studs in them there last fall, I believe. And of course, I welded them on the top, but that weld broke free because of too much dirt and everything on the treads. So I had to cut through the tubing with the reciprocating saw. I used my best worn out blade I had. And I got through about 3/4 of the way on all of them because I won't be reusing those body lift mounts anyway. So when I start jacking this up in the air, I'm going to finish cutting through them because right now it's only binding up as I'm cutting through them, the weight of the tracker on it. So got as far as I could with that. So now I think I'm going to take the radiator out just because it's a real tight space there, and lifting the body off, it might end up putting a fan through the radiator or something. I'll probably leave the AC condenser here. That's what I'm going to try to do. And yeah, just get the radiator out of the way. And it looks pretty simple to come out of there, so we'll give her a shot. This is the bolts here I'm taking out for the AC condenser where it connects to the rad support bracket. So the AC condenser should stay in place, I'm hoping. Looks like the radiator's let go. Stick my ratchet there so I don't lose it down inside the firewall somewhere. And now I gotta let the bottom rad hose go, the two transmission lines, and the radiator will come right out. And what I might also do is get a short piece of steel line, 5/16, that's the size of my transmission lines. And when I let the transmission rubber lines go off the radiator, I'll put that piece of metal tube in between the two of them, put it in tight, that way I won't lose all my transmission fluid. And make a big mess, of course. Luckily, the bottom rad hose, the hose clamp for it, the screw is facing upwards from underneath, so it's going to be easier to get at for sure. I'll try it with a flathead screwdriver first, and if that don't work, I'll have to get out the 8mm and a nut driver. Now, I think my next step is I'm going to go and go on the hunt for a piece of 5/16 steel line to join those two transmission lines together. I'd rather get that plugged off first before I let the rad hose on the bottom go, because I don't want to mix the two fluids and make a mess on the floor and all that. So while I'm doing that, I'm just going to pause the video there, and I'll put it back on after I get that done. Okay, so I got my piece of 5/16 steel line. So I'm going to crawl underneath there now, let those two lines go, hopefully not make too much mess. I'm going to move my bowl of antifreeze out of the way there so I don't get any transmission fluid in that. So let's see what happens. Okay. That's on there. So I might lose a little bit of transmission fluid out of the radiator itself, There's a couple of drops coming out, but no big deal. I got some absorb all there. Cleaned that up pretty easy. So I guess now I'll get my hands cleaned up again because they're kind of slippery, and I'll work at getting that lower rad hose off, and then I can haul the radiator right out of her. She's actually dripping pretty good out of the radiator. So I use one of the old Chevy Tracker center caps to catch what I can. And the lower rad hose is moving pretty freely. And my drain pan is getting pretty full, so hopefully there shouldn't be much in the rad hose itself. Hopefully. Alright, gotta let that drain a little bit, take a little break, and we'll be right back. Alright, so I got the radiator hauled out, wasn't an issue. I decided to start on the electrical, and it's getting pretty frustrating, but you know, I'm getting there. I say I'm about halfway through it on the engine, and it just tucks down underneath the intake everywhere, like, you know, like it would, right? And I'm glad this is not a 2020 or something like this. It's a 2002. It's a bit more simple, which is good. But it's still a misery to get at. And you know, the plastic connectors and everything, that's all brittle, and half of them are breaking. And you know, I'll figure that all out when the time comes. It's not going to be a big deal to fix that up. But I even had to, the main ground for the engine is bolted to the starter, and that's up underneath the intake too. So I just finished getting that one off of there, and I got a few cuts and bruises along the way, but that's all good. So I'm going to continue on now and keep at the wiring, and I don't know if you can see it on the video, but here's a bit of it, right? And I got the alternator and everything all unbolted, well, the wiring anyway, and the starter wires are unbolted. Some of the sensors on this side are all unbolted. Now it's just to dislocate my arm in 3 places and get at the rest of them. So I'm not going to keep the video rolling for this part because there's not really much to see there, but yeah, when I get her pretty well done, I'll turn the camera back on. Okay, so I was at the wiring for about another half hour or so, and just everything is just growed together from dirt and everything in the plugs and all that, and just fighting with it. And I started thinking, you know, there got to be an easier way for this to come apart. So I started looking around, and I noticed on the passenger side the harness went in through the firewall, which is usually on most vehicles through the driver's side, but this one's passenger side, and you can see the little circle hole right down there, and the harness went in through there. So of course, like a feller would, he opens the door and he looks down inside, and what's underneath the glove box but a computer, which is on the front seat here now. So I unplugged that, took the 2 bolts out of it, dropped it down. So then I goes down, removes the kick panel, which is down inside here, as you can see. And there was a few other wires there, a big ground and 2 other plugs. I unplugged that, and sure enough, I comes back out here, pulls on the end of the harness, which is right over here on top of the engine now, and it comes right on out. Didn't have to take the harness off the engine at all. So yeah, that was a waste of an hour, but you know, live and learn, right? So I got that out of the way now, and now I got to let the throttle cable go and the cruise control cable. Yes, this does have cruise control. And continue on from there. Once I get the harness all separated and that here now, I got to disconnect my copper line here. That's for that diaphragm pump inside for the front diff actuator. And let that go. Then I'll get at the handbrake cables and the filler pipe. And she's going to be almost ready to lift the body off after that. Okay, so just got the chassis lifted up. Had to take the AC condenser out. Handbrake cables had to be let go. Shifter cable had to be let go. Front calipers had to be let go and left hang. And all the cab mounts, I had to cut a couple of them off because bolts were spinning around inside. So yeah, that was pretty much it. And then put the anchors up in the ceiling, used some come-alongs, some ratchet straps, and whatever I had laying around. Did some redneck stuff, and you know, this is where I'm at right now. Just got to jack the front up a bit more, the body that is. And I got to jack the front diff up and slide the front end over that way because the motor is tight against the firewall there. So I'm going to get at that now, and that is going to be it for today pretty well. Leak?
Yeah.
Oh, the front diff seal is leaking bad, yeah. I told you that earlier. And that's about it, I guess. Oh, a couple of the cab mounts weren't even attached anymore.
I think we kind of knew that too, though.
That one over there,
What a
the
sin.
welds are still showing, and that's it.
Yeah, it's all shown as well.
Well, you know, at least the welds were good.
Oh my god. My cross member is getting right.
Get it.
I might have to reinforce that or make up my own.
You don't have
what I
one on the other one?
This is the spare one I had off of that chassis. And she's after taking a beating. I might just make one. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a bit of square stock, right? Something like that square stock over there, huh?
Yeah.
Use some of that. And I got enough road signs. I'm making skid plates from right here on that tube there, right to the front. Is going to be all skid plated, just for protection, right? Because of course transfer case, like every other vehicle, that's your lowest point, right?
Yeah.
I guess the screwdriver stayed up in the body for the 4x4.
That's it.
But it looks pretty straightforward to make that, you know. Because the bolt's on here, so it just needs a straight piece right across by the looks of it. Oh, it needs a hump there for the exhaust valve. And look, that's all cracked all around.
Oh, yeah.
But I am cutting that converter out of it because I think there's restrictions in it.
Oh, that's the one that's.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get rid of that converter. I don't think it's worth anything. So that's going to be a bit of an issue to make up the hump to go around the exhaust. Alright, so I guess that's pretty well going to wrap up day one. Altogether, I guess I'm into this now about 4.5 hours. And I'm pleased with where I got. I mean, the body's hanging from the ceiling and the chassis is separate from it. I got it pulled out, as you can see. So tomorrow I won't have any setbacks. I had to run a couple of places today and it set me back a bit. So tomorrow I'll be hauling the motor and transmission, transfer case all out in one. Probably even leave the drive shaft attached so I don't lose my fluid. And put it up in on that winch in the ceiling. Let's see if I can find it. Right there, that cable there. Hook it up to that. Suspend everything in the air. And roll the chassis out. I still got to haul the diffs and everything out of it, but that's not going to be for a while yet now. And then I'll roll the other chassis in and drop the motor and transmission right into it. So that's the goal for tomorrow. And I got to do some other work on another vehicle tomorrow. So as long as I get this motor and transmission and everything in the other chassis tomorrow, I'll be very happy. And that'll be day 2 finished off. So yeah, this will be the part 1 video. So hoping to get it put up there sometime this evening, tonight. That's the plan. And then it'll be on to part 2.